My iPad does not show if we're live anymore. So are we live now?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is Senate Government Operations. It is April 1st, and we did not specifically choose this date to do the confirmation hearings. I didn't even think about when I scheduled them. So just so that you know, we have to go into a joint assembly at 2:00. But so Commissioner Festigi, we're going to see why it is that you think that you would like to continue in this role. What is it that attracts you to it, and why do you want to continue?
Thank you. Sorry, Chairwoman, Senator White. I wanted to acknowledge my virtual background. I think April 1st as a snowy day at the State House. It's kind of not really an April Fool's joke, right? It's kind of a crazy time for us, but thank you for having me in today. This is an amazing job. I have an amazing team. We have about a little over 90 employees in the Department of Human Resources. And it's very rewarding to be an organization that's supporting state government, kind of the back office of state government, and all the things that employees really need to make their work lives kind of smooth and successful, so the other departments that are providing the direct service can actually do that work. So it's I think the fact that the team that I work with in human resources is such a professional, dedicated group, and really are experts in their fields is it's a great environment to work in, and also to be able to use my 30 years of business background to serve state government. So that's why I'd like to continue, particularly this year. I think has been an incredibly challenging year for all Vermonters, but particularly, all Vermonters really, and state government employees have really stepped up and worked really hard to serve Vermonters, including my team. So it's really rewarding to see when things are really tough, how my team, as well as all the state government, just really pulled together to serve Vermonters the best way they were able to.
Great, thanks. Senator Colomar?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome, Beth. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
So you mentioned 40 years in business, except for this year. Take this year out of the equation, kind of. Was there something about the job when you were in it a year or so that surprised you, that you weren't expecting, sort of, that you maybe had preconceived notions about, and you went, huh, I never thought about that?
Surprised me. Well, yeah, I'm just finishing up my 4th year, and I think just even way back when I first started working for state government, one of the things I thought, well, we have a form for everything. So some things were pretty I would say not overly bureaucratic, but a lot of things just hadn't been modernized. And I don't know I think that actually surprised me how many forms we had to fill out. But what's been really nice, I think, is going forward is the work that we do for continuous improvement and try to make things more smooth and easier for state government. For example, recently, one of the things that we have a deferred compensation plan, so employees can provide extra savings above and beyond their own pensions, right? So they have this program, and it's always been, you have to, you fill out the form and then you send it to here and then you send it here. But now we just actually put that online, so employees can, just this past week, we got that online. So now employees, especially we have employees working remotely, they can just do that, do that from wherever they're working, and available any time of the day. So just kind of those, even small improvements that they make employees' lives a little bit easier, I say, is it's not surprising, but it's just the kind of the little things we do each day to try to make government run more efficiently and more smoothly, make me kind of proud to be part of it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Senator Clarkson?
Well, it's always great to see Beth. I have a lot of questions actually, but I'll start with what is the biggest lesson you think that the human resources department has learned during COVID? What are the biggest lessons, and how do you see changing HR as a result of what we've gone through with COVID?
I think it's because we're a customer service organization. We've always been, really first thinking about the customers out in those agencies and departments and how we can best serve them. I think one of the things that we learned is we don't have to be right in the same room to serve them, which actually can save a lot of time because, so one of the teams that work in HR is what we call our field representatives, and they work, they're assigned to different agencies, and especially those who had multiple agencies spread out across, the Montpelier complex or in Waterbury. They spent a lot of time traveling between those various buildings and agencies, and it wasn't necessarily particularly the most efficient. So I think we've learned now that we can still serve our customers really well and not actually have to be there in front of them all the time. I mean, more than we're doing obviously would be nice, but it doesn't have to be at every meeting all the time. And that actually saves us time so we can get focus a little bit more on the other work that we need to do, and either do it with, fewer errors or do it more quickly. So that type of, I think we'll definitely see that going forward. Another thing is one of the things that is part of human resources is our Center for Achievement in Public Service, which is CAP sits up at Vermont College, and it's our training center. And we moved all our in-person training, we moved that online. And the instructors who did that were always, the very good in-person instructors, really hadn't done a lot of online teaching before. So we've learned a lot of new tools. And really that I think will be very helpful for state employees going forward, because for a 1 hour training to have to travel 3 hours from Brattleboro to come up to Montpelier to take a 1 hour training and then go back to Brattleboro, where we have the tools now and the confidence that we're able to do that online is going to save a lot of time. And we can use that time to better serve Vermonters. So I think my team stepping up to really, we don't, thinking about the first couple of days of pandemic, we'll just wait, this will be over. And then realizing in a month, this isn't going to be over. And okay, what do we need to do to make this a really rewarding experience and valuable for employees? And they just really stepped up and learned and are doing such a great job.
Senator Rahm?
Thanks, Beth. Have you tried to standardize anything different about hiring practices and what hiring committees have to do where they advertise in order to try and diversify the state workforce?
So one of the things that we've done in the past couple of years is we completely changed our recruitment, how we assist agencies and department with recruiting. We used to be more of a transactional agency. So it used to be just helping them post the jobs in the system and move the hiring, we call them requisitions, kind of through the system to the next stage. And we were more just working the system, but we weren't really helping them as much, I would say, as actual recruiters. So not only do we have a new system that enables us to, it's much easier and much easier for the hiring managers to actually post jobs, look at resumes. We also changed our whole process. So we have hiring consultants, recruitment consultants that work with agencies and departments. Other things that we do to help recruitment is we do offer trainings on interviews, standardized interviewing processes, so that you use a panel of people and you're asking all the candidates the same questions. One of the things that our recruitment software can do is it can actually look at job descriptions and pick up information about bias within the job description. So if your job description looks like it might be more geared towards a male employee, you can take out language that you can put in language that maybe is more appealing to all demographics. So that's one of the things that this system can do as well. With respect to we also help them find other places to recruit. And a lot, with now that things are online, a lot of the places that you can, post resumes are free. So there's a lot of national organizations that you can do outreach to, organizations within the state, and provide that information. So we are helping them, and we're continuing to work on how we can assist departments even further to try to diversify the workforce through recruitment.
Senator Polina, I saw you had your hand up.
Yeah, actually, my question was going to be pretty similar to Senator Rahm's. I was going to ask you, so maybe you've already answered this. If you have, I'll go on to another question. I was going to ask what, if anything, your department is doing or can do to create a more diversified workforce, bring more diverse voices to
Right.
bear.
Well, another thing that that I know that you love in this committee is our workforce report. And our workforce report does provide data on the demographics of our workforce. So so that's actually a good tool to assist agencies and departments, because they can actually look at the data and see where is, do we have an issue with the retention, or is it hiring, and what does that look like? And then with our new software that we have for recruitment, we can actually look at the hiring process and see where maybe a BIPOC employee maybe didn't get the job, but did they get to the interview stage and not get to the job, land the job, or did they not get past the first screen and something was wrong with their resume? So we can kind of break things down like that, and we're just starting to do that and analyze more to see if it's more, if we kind of have issues in any particular areas that we can work on and provide and help departments provide action plans. And one of the action plans that we have in their toolkit already is more of a standardization for the interview process. And through our agreements, and because we're a public employer, one of the things that we do is, jobs do have to be posted for a certain amount of time, and we do have minimum job qualifications. So there are standards, but then there's also which I think is very good, because I think there's distinct things we're looking for, but we can also reach out to agencies and departments and say, hey, we're not getting, enough candidates, or we're not getting a diverse applicant pool. Well, we can look at, what are your minimum job qualification? Is that holding someone back? Are you requiring a 4-year degree? Or can that 4-year degree be replaced with some experience? Because everybody might not have the 4-year degree, but you might have work experience that could substitute for that and be perfectly capable of doing that job. So those are the types of things that we do and can do that can help, maybe open up the job pool a little more, or the applicant pool a little more, if we
Senator
find
Clarkson?
that's an issue.
Senator Clarkson?
I guess I'd be curious what you feel your biggest challenge is going forward.
I think short term, one of the biggest challenges I think is just all the particular stressors that are impacting our employees in the workforce. The pandemic has been very difficult for all Vermonters, including our employees. So we have things we have resources, and we provide employees resources, like we have an employee assistance program, our health insurance. People can have access to all mental health counseling at no copay. So we have a lot of good tools. We have an excellent wellness program. But getting that information out to employees, having employees taking advantage of that when they're feeling that they might need a little help, or how do you reach out to them, and how do we do the best we can to make them or enable them to be happy and healthy in both their work life and their personal life. So I think that's kind of the short term and I think that everybody's kind of thinking about these things. And then the long term, I think there's looking forward. There's a couple of projects that we do have in our budget. We have our classification project, and we would certainly love to have a new classification system, and pairing that with perhaps with a new compensation system, which is kind of a long-term project, but that will help us be a more competitive employer going forward, and hopefully help us attract and retain the emerging workforce. Especially as our workforce ages and the baby boomers begin to retire. Before the pandemic, it was a really tight job market. Now that we're starting to hire pretty heavily again, we are going to need to work, I think, to recruit people to this workforce. There's just not. It's the demographics of the state. It's not. I think this is a great place to work. There's so much variety in the work we do at the state of Vermont. It's like a bunch of little companies and agencies, and the people that generally work there, I think our jobs are very mission oriented. So people are pretty passionate about what they do, and it's easy to get behind the passion of the mission. And we can back that up with pretty good salary and fantastic benefits. So we have a lot of things going in our favor in recruiting, but in Vermont, just recruiting is a big challenge, and the next generation will be a big challenge.
Thanks.
Senator Rahm?
Well, just sort of on that note, I mean, I'm going to bring up the P word only in the sense that as we talk about pensions, it's been helpful to hear from people what they could be getting in other states. And I know it's not an apples to apples comparison, but it's been really interesting to understand how they see competitiveness across New England potentially for these kinds of roles. How often do you track that? And maybe you said, I was trying to read through your
Right.
whole report, do you kind of keep track of our benefits and compensation as where we are in the sort of median with other states or our region?
So I think that there's a couple of different things. Because retirement and pensions are under the treasurer's office, I'm not as close to that as I would like. I mean, I am on the VSERS retirement board, so I'm certainly familiar with our retirement system, and the vast majority of the employees that work for me in the state of Vermont are in what's called our defined benefit pension plan. We have another pension plan also, a defined compensation plan, which a lot of exempts are in because it's a plan that's a little different, and it doesn't necessarily promote longevity, but when you're in a appointed position, you don't necessarily expect that you're going to be working for 30 years for the state. And then we have, so we have we have those two, and then we also have what's called the deferred compensation program, which is more like a 401k in the private sector. So overall, we do have really good retirement benefits. And so you compare that to anybody in the private sector, I think, in Vermont, and we are kind of second. I would say we probably have the best, unless you're looking at maybe other people in government, like a municipal government comparison. When you're looking at, but you're looking at a lot, like an engineer that might work for the Agency of Transportation or an engineer in the private sector, you may be trading maybe a little bit lower salary, but for superb healthcare benefits, a little bit more job security, more likely, and a retirement and a good retirement plan. So we do have a structural problem with our pension program, and it's the biggest changes that we saw over the past year are definitely related to demographic changes, and one of them is people are living longer, which is great, but we have to pay them longer in the pension plan. So that's one of the assumptions that changed and really increased the unfunded liability this year, and would increase the amount that we would have to pay, that we've been doing for the past, since I've been here, very aggressively. The legislature has approved a budget every year that increases the amount we're paying in to pay off that liability. So, it's this time is certainly stressful for employees as well. People are concerned. I guess I would say is, for people to take a deep breath, wait to see what comes out. I expect that, Treasurer Pierce has said that her proposal would certainly give employees time to make any decisions. And I expect that the legislature would do that as well. Our employees are definitely we wouldn't we wouldn't be able to serve Vermonters without the great employees that we have. So I think that, I applaud and appreciate the legislature for doing this really difficult work, and it's important to do, and we need to come up with a solution that's going to be good for Vermonters and employees for the long term. So I think that's really mostly what I have to say about it. But when you're looking at recruiting new employees, I think new employees are really thinking about, is there a pension system? Great. But the other thing we want to look at is what other things do new people who are entering the workforce want? What is most important to them? So especially younger folks, that might be part of it, but what else are they thinking about? And that's kind of the things that I think about going forward. What are they doing at the, what are the new cool benefits that we need to do to attract people? I mean, obviously we can't have, happy hour at work. That's not something that we can do in state government. We're not going to promote something like that. But, last year, 2 years ago, it seems like last year, because last year seems like Labora, but we had an infants in the workplace program. So employees up to 6 months, of the infants age of 6 months, they can actually bring their infants to the office. In some situations, obviously, there's some situations where you can't have your baby at work if you're in law enforcement or something like that. But for most administrative jobs, to be able to have that as an option helps people get back into the workforce maybe a little quicker, or helps with their, financial stability, not having to pay for daycare so early. And also helps with the bonding, but that type of benefit and flexible employee benefits, I think, are something that people are really looking for. So looking at ways that we can work with our labor partners to bring those things to our employees.
A season's pass to our state fairs or to our state parks.
Or maybe we shouldn't define all jobs or the work week as being 40 hours.
Right.
Need to be able to. So anyway.
But also, I mean, I think to tag on to Keisha's question, what we look at in economic development is how we in almost every sector, we underpay about 20%, independent of the benefits package. What's our pay like? And I think you're getting at that when you do your classification work, because, we're still, compared to other states around us and it would be very interesting to know how our pay is compared to New York, Massachusetts, state employees in those states too.
Right. Yeah. And that's, you're competing against those places, the cost of living in those places is also more. So it's like more affordable typically to buy a house in Vermont than it is in,
Yes and no.
county in New
I mean,
York,
not
but-
if you're looking at one county, state,
Right.
government, it's not more expensive
But-
Vermont is an expensive place to live.
It is. And it's a great place to live. Obviously, we all live here. We all love it, but it's expensive. Luckily, we have the great outdoors, which is mostly free, and we've been able to enjoy it certainly for the past year.
So Madam Chair, we have 5 minutes until our.
I realize that. Senator Polina?
This may be the last question, I guess, but I was going to ask you, if you were to lose this job tomorrow, what would you want to do if you weren't doing this job?
Oh, that's
What would be your
good
next
question.
career?
My next career, I don't know. One of the things that I've been doing, which has actually been pretty fun and rewarding, is I was volunteering at some of the vaccination clinics operated by the Department of Health. And that was incredibly rewarding to see how appreciative the people were who were able to finally get vaccinated. And just see how appreciative and thankful they were. And then also to just see how well organized the Department of Health was doing that. So I think the Department of Health is a great place to work. So I wouldn't mind working for them. They've got some job postings, by the way, if anyone's looking and listening on YouTube. I think something really still interfacing with the public and providing them good service, I would want to do.
Thanks.
We are in desperate need of nurses. You could always go back to nursing school.
I could.
That's good. But you know what? Really nice for you to see one of your own departments in action and go and work with them.
That's
That
right.
was great.
Mhm.
What a
That's right.
great opportunity.
Great. Yeah. So I was just, trying to plug a few job openings we have at the state of Vermont. So we do, we do have job openings. So if you have people that are looking for work, check out our website and see what's available now and maybe in the future.
Thank you. I think we have to jump into our joint assembly to see if we have new judges or not.
Okay.
And this is counting the votes on the judges' retention.
Okay.
So thank you so much.
Thank you
And if
very much.
Thanks,
Think of
Beth.
anything else you'd like to tell us, just email or off to us.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a great day,
Thanks.
everybody.